Hey, Gavin. I think they may have changed YouTube's thing again. Give me one. Oh, Jesus. 1 second. Just about to say something about the guys that fucking downstairs coughing, and then I start coughing. Yeah, I'm live. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna put a shirt on. Just cause. Oh, nice. And we had some pretty good timing then. Today we're going to be working on something I've been putting off for a long time. There are I think 4 sniper rifles in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. The Intervention, the M107, the WA2000, and the Mark-21 EBR. And I believe we only have one more sniper rifle to make now, which is the WA2000, I think. So today we are going to begin work on the WA2000. And the reason we're doing that is because I've really never wanted to make the WA2000 because of how it's proportioned. But the good news is we'll be using Cora's method of measuring, which involves making a Lego ruler, as you see here. It's about 113 studs long, 114, I think is what I put mine out. So it'll be literally like 1 stud longer. But you can see, then you get your reference image that you're going to be using, and you align the ruler end to end, and that gives you a perfect 1-to-1 scale of exactly how big everything is, basically. So today we'll be working on making this wonderful piece of German engineering, as it is a Walther gun. Walther is really not known for making anything other than pistols, but this is one of those things that they decided to make and really try to go for. As far as I know, it's quite rare. Not a whole lot of them were made. I think less than 1,000. But it is still a really cool gun. It's got this weird, nice, futuristic design that I like about it. I like the wood mixed with the steel iron. I don't know what type of metal it's made out of. So yeah, I believe. Why aren't you going back? There we go. That was weird. It died. Seems alright. I don't know what's going on with it. Oh, your stream died. Gotcha. Move that over. Okay, so first things first is basically setting everything up that we need to set up here. We could potentially start with the front handguard. I think will probably be one of the better areas to start with. So from the second pink one back, which is this one, right? Yes. We're going to cap that so we don't lose it. To 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Crap, I forgot it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's to like the orange 3 tall after this one. So technically it is this one. That's how long everything is. I did get a haircut. Kenyana cut it for me the other day, as it's been really hot here in Florida, and I can't stand to not have short hair when it's really hot because it really sucks. It's just when it's that hot, you really don't want to not have short hair. It's just really helpful to have the short hair. I've been doing pretty all right. I mean, there was a hurricane that just passed through here yesterday. It's kind of weird to talk about because we kind of didn't even realize it was here for the most part. Oh God, dude. Yeah, it's way too hot to be trying stuff like that, man. But I kind of work outside all day, so for me, short hair is like a lifesaver. Whereas potentially, if you work inside, it's slightly different for y'all. Wait, why did I delete that? I need to keep it. Yeah, there was a hurricane that was here yesterday, and it was bright, shunny. It was bright and sunny here in Orlando. With we had like 15-20 minutes worth of rain yesterday here in Orlando, and that was it. Really, like it just missed us almost entirely. Not that I kind of want to like jinx it or anything, but it really didn't do anything here in Florida anyhow. Even as far as I know, the coastal areas themselves were pretty all right. I have a couple family members who live on the coast who really didn't have too much to worry about while over there. I know that on the coast was kind of worse than what it was here inland because it was closer on the coast. But at the same time, it was mostly just a Category 1 hurricane, which is it's kind of no big deal to Floridians. It's hard to say that because to a lot of people it's kind of a big deal. But here in Florida, a Category 1 hurricane is practically nothing, believe me. So to us, it was kind of like, whatever, Category 1. I'm really trying not to jinx shit. I am an emergency responder. So in said event that there is a hurricane that hits us, I will be out and about in the hurricane working on getting people back in living conditions, basically. So it's kind of one of those things where I really don't want to jinx it, because if I jinx it, I would be in deep crap when it actually happens. So I think I want this to be a 4 in total. It's not that we all scoff at hurricanes down here, it's just that we're kind of not afraid of anything because we've been through so much already that a lot of the major hurricanes nowadays are kind of, a lot of them unfortunately are overhyped by news organizations, and it does contribute to a lot of panic buying, which is unfortunate, but it happens. So sometimes when we hear that this hurricane is coming, a lot of us tend to go, if I die, I die. If I don't, I don't type attitude. It's probably not the best of attitudes to have, but you'll very quickly find out that that's pretty much the whole attitude Florida has, honestly. It's just kind of how we are in a very weird sense, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, understandable. The thing about Harvey for you is that you live in an area that's not usually impacted by hurricanes, which is that's kind of an important distinction to make. Hey, Kukri, because it's not every day that regular states get hit by hurricanes. It's kind of expected here in Florida. So, some states will have certain issues that other states don't. Here in Florida, it's hurricanes or the Florida Man. Those are the two issues here in Florida that we really have that other states don't. California, you're known more or less for hurricanes. No, Phillips, that's exactly the opposite of what I meant. You're known for earthquakes in California, which is like your primary danger. At one point in time, it was fires, but that's kind of calmed down a little bit as far as I know. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where, depending on where you are in the world, your dangers change entirely, and that means you're prepared more or less for other things, maybe more than others. So my primary point of all of that was where you live, David, you're kind of not used to dealing with hurricanes. So you're, I guess, I don't know how to really say it, your emergency responders, the systems that you have in place to help you with that might not necessarily be used to that type of stuff. That's not to say that they aren't. It's just that there is a huge difference in that type of stuff as we go. Got a laptop so I can use LDD now? That's nice, Kukri. I'm glad that you were able to get a laptop and you're able to use LDD. That's going to make things a lot nicer for you, my friend. And I can understand storms and floods. That's definitely something to not scoff at, especially floods. Flooding is very scary for me personally because I've never really had to deal with flooding ever, which is super weird to say because the house that I used to live in for quite some time, when I got out of high school in 2015 all the way up to 2019, it lives on a lake, and the lake could always rise up to a certain point and really affect the homestead itself, since it's water. It's weird. During Hurricane Irma in 2019, hurricanes just all kind of blend together, interestingly enough. I believe it was 2019 because I was working for the county at the time. Still am, but this was my first big hurricane detail while working for the county. The dock that we had in our lake had been submerged underneath water, but it was only underneath water by like an inch, maybe 2 inches. So it was really weird because after the hurricane and everything had cleared up, you could walk on the dock, but you were basically standing on the top of the water, which was it was fun but interesting, that's for sure. Okay, so about the second pink one here, we start an increase up, which I believe we're going to attempt to accomplish using a cheese slope. Because we need to kind of even out with the top of this over here, which I believe will be relatively close to doing. Today we're working on the Walther WA2000, as it's a quite different build. I have Cora's method of measuring things now, which makes this like super easy. You want to talk about a really easy way of building using this method right here takes all the pain out of regular building, because you no longer have to make any guesstimates on measurements or anything like that. It's all right here in this stick. So I can count these number of the pink posts that we have and use that to kind of measure out how long the handguard is and stuff like that exactly, which is really helpful because guess what? It makes it practically 1-to-1 but I don't have to do any real big thinking about it. So you saw on that second post, we started the cheese slope here. And then you can see that on the third post, we can start the next one up. Right about here. It's easy to make it 1-to-1. Like I used to do the same thing that you were doing by guessing to get the 1-to-1. So it can definitely be done. My primary thing was at the time, sometimes like this one part would be maybe 2-3 studs too long, and you would have to kind of futz with everything to get it to work out exactly where you need to, which is not exactly a big deal, but if you can do it right the first time, it makes things way easier, because then you don't have to come back through and try to make another version of it or redo it or anything like that, because you had it right the first time, basically. At least on my end, because you will notice that there are a lot of things I have to go back and rebuild over again. That's because the first one I wasn't necessarily entirely happy with. There might have been something wrong with it that I really did not like, which it happens on occasion. It's kind of no big deal. But it is what it is. I still don't get LDD though, kind of confusing. What are you having issues with, Kukri? This is a relatively simple CAD program at its core, really. It's computer-aided design, so it's technically a CAD program, I guess, if you really want to go for it, but a lot more simple, I guess, is the best way to say it, because it doesn't have as many movement controls and stuff like that as Studio does. Like groups are really easy to understand, my man. Okay, so this is a perfect example of why I'm doing what I'm doing in my particular colors, I guess, if that might be the issue that you're having. Like, why is it that I work in these colors? First off, it's a lighter color, so I can see it, because I'm practically blind nowadays, even with kind of a relatively bright screen and a bright keyboard. So, for instance, like you can tell this is a 2x2 plate, but if you turn this black, you can kind of still tell that that's a 2x2 plate, but you can't really see the studs on it. So is this the 2x2 plate that I'm looking for, or is these two the 2x2 plates that I'm going for? So that's in particular why we use lighter colors on my end as a pro tip, if you want to call it that. Okay, I used to have that issue. Try resizing your screen a little bit, and you might be able to actually get access to those colors on your laptop. I had that issue on the Windows version on my old laptop, like way back in the old days. So that all I did was move the screen in just a little bit, and it kind of forced that color palette to move so that I could get to the colors. I can never get to the bottom row of colors, to be honest with you. Group-wise, it's real simple. Whatever you have selected, you can create a group from this selection. So actually, here's a good one. Every once in a while, this ruler is going to be really annoying to have in my way. So usually, you would have to select all of it somehow and then hide it yourself. But what you could do is, as a group, you can come through and you can hide it so it's out of the way without having to select everything. Let's say you want to make it all one color. You can come through and you can do the paint tool on the group, and it makes it all one color. All right, Gavin, no problem. Or if you want to select so that you can move something around, you can just click on this instead of having to use like the connected selection or something like that. It just, groups are really, they're a lifesaver, if you will. What's the hotkey to make a group? That I don't know, actually. Keyboard shortcuts. Control G creates a group. Very few people actually know that LDD has a help window, but there is a help window that you can look through. Hopefully that does work though. Let's do this. Yeah, all right, that does create a group. That's pretty cool. That helps me out. I never knew that because I usually just did it from the group window. I wonder if we could do it even without being in the group window. It does work without being in the group window. All right, cool. So you don't have to go to the group window up here to actually do that. You can do that from the normal brick palette. We're learning together, Kukri. We are working on the WA2000 today. German sniper rifle, known for being really accurate, but really freaking expensive because it's Walther, and Walther doesn't really make sniper rifles, honestly. All right, so this line running through here, we would have to make here, which I just used all of this to right side up all of these bricks. So also, we are in the wrong view. We need to be looking at it from this way, more or less. Okay, I want to move this cheese slope back one because it just doesn't look right where it's at. I like, oh, sorry, I never answered your question, Gavin. I like my bacon basically raw. It's really weird, but like if you slap it in the pan for a couple minutes, and really that's pretty much it. Honestly, I don't really eat more kind of done than that. I'll still eat it if it's crispy or potentially burnt, but I like mine better pretty much basically raw, as disgusting as it sounds. I like cooking my bacon in the center still has flavor. That's probably not a bad way to do it, honestly. That would probably be acceptable in my eyes for something that I would gladly eat. I'm going to grab a drink, if you guys don't mind. 1 second. Yeah, no, there isn't. Some people don't. There are bacon like loyalists out there that will like scream at you for not cooking bacon the way that they like it. So gotta be careful. So official drink sponsor of the channel today in this wonderful live stream is Zephyrhills Spring Water, which is neat because it's water, first off, and water is definitely better than some of the other things that I've been drinking on stream before. The other thing is that Zephyrhills is actually a place here in Florida, so this is homegrown water, if you want to call it that. So good stuff. Water is the key to a long life. I like bacon not greasy, flabby. That's pretty much the way that I like it, Kukri. Like if you pick the piece of bacon up and you're holding it by the end, it should be somewhat droopy, but it shouldn't be like a complete 90-degree angle, right? Toast is another prime example of this. My toast is pretty much at the point that I like it, just been heated up in the oven. It's really not something that I want a whole bunch of dark color on. I have, in my older age, gotten more accustomed to darker colored pieces of toast, depending on what I'm making. It's just when I was a young kid, I used to toast in the toaster for 5 seconds, take it out, and if it was hot, I was happy. That was the toast that I had. This section here, I'm thinking we'll make 2 studs, and then we'll do this as a 3-stud section coming back up and over and everything like that. This whole area here should be relatively easy, honestly. Oh. We used to spend a lot of time with my grandmother and grandfather growing up, eating at their house after school, because it was my parents were always working, so your grandparents could go over there and your parents would come pick you up from there, right? So we used to go over there and we used to eat all the time, and they always believed in this huge meal prep, and that you always plan out everything that you're going to have for the week, like right then and there. So something that we used to do all the time is we used to have breakfast at least once a week at my grandmother's house. And part of breakfast for me was always from here, it's 1, 2, 3. Part of breakfast for me growing up was I had to help. There was no freeloaders in my grandmother's house, if that's an easy kind of acceptable way to say that. You buttered toast. You made the toast. You got the eggs out for my grandmother. Like, you were doing things in the kitchen to physically help with cooking while everything was going on while you're over there. So it was interesting because you would ask someone how they wanted their toast, and they would tell you how they wanted their toast, and everyone had their different preferences. And mine was always the easiest toast to make because I wanted mine basically not toasted at all, so it made my life way easier. Honestly, the Walther WA2000 is, in my opinion, one of my favorite snipers ever made, along with the PSG-1 and Macmillan TAC 338 Liverpool Magnum. PSG-1 is another rifle that I just really, really like. I watched the Forgotten Weapons video on it last night. Sorry, tongue twister. Because it's a beautiful looking rifle in almost every single way. It's roller delayed, first off, which is just a beautiful system in German engineering. It's got this wonderful, distinctive look to it. Like, you can just tell that's a PSG-1 from 400 miles away. Like, it's really not difficult to tell that type of stuff. It's known to be killer accurate as well, which is also really cool. It can reach out and touch someone like that. He'll kill tap. Have you ever had eggs in a basket? Haven't. It almost sounds like something I'm not going to like. Your LDD not having a lot of pieces means that you are running one of the outdated versions of LDD, as LEGO no longer supports LEGO Digital Designer officially. So your best course, I'm going to be just completely 100% honest with you, Kukri, is to not use LDD. You should probably look into using Stud.io Studio by Bricklink. it would be a better choice for you to use Studio, as Studio does have new pieces and is updated pretty much regularly with newer pieces, newer colors, and things like that. And on top of that, it will also have the ability to render images, which is really nice to have. These stick out way too far. We might as well just go with the basic design here. You can have luminescent pieces in the MOC, which is really cool. I like being able to do that. It sucks to have to use Studio because Studio does get a little intimidating with how they do some of their core mechanics, I guess, but it's more towards a traditional CAD program. The good news with Studio entirely is that it has everything that you need on it. It has colors that you can't get inside of LDD. It has the ability that you can render it right there in Studio. You can clip pieces into one another inside of Studio, which is really helpful because if you know a design is going to work out in real life, but it's not working out inside of LDD, in Studio you can force it to work because you can make it. You can make pieces clip into one another. There's more tools inside of Studio to kind of assist the designer, if you will. Not all of them are very useful in my eye, but there are some in there that are pretty useful. Hey, Potato. You can buy the pieces directly from Bricklink, and you can sort on your palette pieces that you can't, that you can only get from Bricklink. So you can kind of set yourself up so that you know the pieces exist, which is that's helpful if you're trying to buy the pieces to know if they exist or not before you actually use them, instead of having to try to replace them after everything is said and done. So that's definitely a plus. You could also, by the way, uninstall LDD, as it's not going to, I personally don't think it's ever going to be fixed if you want to call it that. It was kind of discontinued ages ago, unfortunately, which really sucks because it's what I've grown up on, and there will be a point in time where this channel does switch over to doing nothing but Studio builds, because there are just way more pieces inside of Studio that are far better to be using. There's also far more colors over there, and eventually LDD will run out of pieces, new pieces that I need to kind of catch up with, which it sucks, but it is what it is. Lego stopped supporting LDD, so my only option at this point is to switch to the superior platform, which will be Studio. You also have to keep in mind that Studio is owned by Bricklink, and Bricklink is technically owned by Lego. So at this point, Studio is kind of, it's officially supported by Lego, if you will, which means you'll probably end up getting like way more Studio updates than you ever got LDD updates, as sad as it is to say. It's kind of one of those it is what it is things. We'll unfortunately live with it. Okay, so this should come out to the rest of our little line here. It's no big deal. I do, however, want to make this hollow the whole way. We're going to cap these off, and that'll be it. That'll be the end for the muzzle brake. This is all relatively simple stuff. There's not a whole lot going on here. Oops. Just like so. And that'll be that. In the end down there, we will put that to kind of assist in blending that in. There's going to be a really dark shadow in there whenever you look down it, if you're ever going to look down it, but we do want to kind of have assist it blend in there just a bit. We're going to continue this design all the way up, and then we'll run a 2-bar like all the way down here. This is not hard. You're still working on the M1014. How's it coming along? Is everything well? I hope. Waiting for Jim to release this file so I can get the shape right. I don't know, you might be able to do it without Jim having to release the file. When I did mine, I kind of guesstimated it, to be completely honest. I think I had a red line laid out for barrel length and overall length. That's kind of the old way that I used to measure everything. Still need to do the top and the shell tube. So I actually started with the shell tube, the magazine tube, because I wanted to be able to load the requisite amount of ammunition into it, which is good because I was able to accomplish that, so I'm really happy with that. And I also wanted to kind of make it look real good, which I was also capable of doing, so I'm really happy with that as well. So I believe that this rail here is adjustable for the bipod, though I'm not entirely sure. It's hot as fuck in my room, and I got no fan or AC, so I'm gonna wait till fall. Why don't you have any fan or AC, my man? Can't you, like, are you able to buy your own stuff? I have a fan right beside me. It's a tower fan that I've had since we kind of moved out on our own. That I actually don't remember the reason why I bought it. I think I kind of bought it as an impulse buy, to be completely honest. Still works really well. It's just a real cheap Target tower fan. Right now, it's got a very weird creaking noise to it. I think you guys can be able to hear it. Maybe not. Oh, that's right. Okay, I got you, man. Rest in peace. Sorry about that, man. That really sucks. I wish you could, because I definitely understand. not being able to buy things that you kind of want. I'm really dreading having to do this receiver block here. My general issue with the WA2000 is that it has always, there are certain areas on the WA2000 that just look really basic, and this receiver is kind of one of them. So we can start it at the end of this. I got you. I feel you. You're a lot younger than I am. It makes things... I was thinking maybe my normal phone would get that, not my county phone. But speaking of county phone, actually, I'm not thinking about it. That's the wrong thing anyways. Here. Amber Alert. I don't exactly know where I put it, but I need to actually charge my county phone. Aha. Perfect. This is it. Yes. It really sucks because the county phones that they give us don't exactly keep a full charge like all day long. So sometimes like I'll charge my phone the night before I get home and then charge it again, even though I really don't use it for much other than to take a couple pictures here and there throughout most of the day. All right, so we are going to design the receiver here. It's going to start here where this cheese slope is. We can design it upside down. That's not a big deal. Ideally, I kind of wanted it to be 4 studs wide. We have this at 2. I guess it would more or less be 3. Honestly, I mean, look at it. It's really thin, but I think it'll be okay because most of the time you'll see how things are from only one perspective. So we should be okay, I think. Yeah, hopefully we don't forget the trigger this time. That'd be really awkward considering how many times we've honestly forgotten the trigger. I guess it is. I don't really keep up with stuff like that. Hello, children. So this, we're going to kind of bypass that. We're just going to carry it all the way to the top. Her sisters said hi to me. Though there might not be all her sisters there. There might be some cousins and whatnot over there as well. So cousins in there too. We actually want to work this in another color. What am I thinking? So we can group this all later on. We'll just carry this rail, this all the way back. What we can do is just design really quick something that's going to do that for us, like that. So this ends 1, 2, 3, 4. the third, and that on the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Hello? Another reason they hate county phones. Your numbers are public, so guess how many scam calls you're going to get over and over and over again. Jeez, dude. It might be me. Stream health. It's good. My video resolution has always been crap, so I'm not too concerned about that because, you know, I'm recording on a screen that's a different size than what they're used to, which is, to me, no big deal. I could care less, honestly. It'll still work out in the long run. Yeah, I see it's your Wi-Fi. I just used to have to kind of deal with my Wi-Fi being trash while streaming in the old days. And I don't have this laptop hardwired either, so there was always that option that could have been me. So this is going to end right here. So that's the top of this receiver. That's this whole section here. There's a screw in the back here. We can make it just like that. There's another set of screws here that's like right above the trigger. That's two. So this one, this one, this one. So this one, kind of like right there, basically. That might be too far forward. Oh yeah, that's too far forward. It needs to come back to like here. Thanks for answering, Kukri. I appreciate it. Hey, Kyle. So we can hide all of this out now because we no longer need it for the most part. All these bricks are upside down. It's going to contribute to a pretty disgusting look, to be completely honest. So for the sake of some of it looking decent, we're going to flip some of it right side up when we go to make it. At least one row of this will be right side up. We could technically do it for pretty much all of them, but we're not going to go that far into it at this point. We're just going to get the one row flattened out and looking pretty. There will also be a relatively large rail system here to cover some of this up. And then potentially a scope. I am not a scope builder, like at all. I've sucked the couple times that I've tried to make scopes, so we might not make a scope for this. We might not. It's kind of one of those things. This area here is kind of important. We do need this to be done. The one pink one in after that, where these three are. So the one pink one in after that, where these three are right here. We can delete that mark, and we'll delete that mark out. We're deleting our marks so that we don't get confused on which marks are which. So now we know that this line here marks where this ends. This will pretty much start almost pretty even with this stuff right here. I'm honestly not really hungry. as I ate a really late lunch today. Like really late. We got sent out on a leak repair today that they held over since Saturday. And it was this, it was a really big leak. And it was kind of one of those things where it needed to be done right then and there. So I kind of skipped eating for the most part today, other than breakfast, to finish that leak as much as possible. So finally, when we finished, it was like 2 o'clock. And then I just kept pushing it back further and further, doing other things before actually like going out and getting breakfast for myself, which I shouldn't be doing, but I did. I have been playing a lot of Apex lately. It's probably one of my more fun games now. When I first downloaded it back when it first came out, I absolutely despised the game because I was very terrible at it, and I kind of expected to be very good at it because movement shooters have always been something that I've been really exceptional at, to be completely honest. But unfortunately, when it first came out, I was really trash at it. So that upset me. I deleted it, especially after in that first couple months, there was really no big content update to the game like they said there was going to be. Clearly now that's definitely changed, but back then it was something that I didn't want to be a part of if they weren't going to try to take the game to kind of like a live service, if you will, where there's constantly stuff being added to the game every single week that you come back to it and stuff like that. I had, at that point in time, just come from a huge Destiny 2 binge that lasted for a very long time. So I was very used to getting updates regularly of somewhat substantial size. That's kind of a laughing matter for Destiny 2 because right now it's in very, very poor state, which is sad, but it is what it is. I am glad to be out of that game at this point in time, honestly. Like, I just happy I don't have to be subjected to that game every single day now. I can kind of play other things and feel good about myself and not worry about that game. I did enjoy my time with Destiny 2. I've always liked the lore of Destiny, the Destiny universe. It's just, God. The business practices in that game were terrible and bothersome, and I did hate their practices, billing, monetization practices in that game. We just got Siege on PC and CSGO and Valorant, but Wi-Fi doesn't let me play. That sucks. I hate CSGO. We used to play CS 1.6 in my high school gaming class in 2014, 2013. Primarily 1.6 because we could download it on a flash drive and run it from the flash drive so we could get around the school's firewall. But I've never really been a big fan of CSGO in particular. The whole, you can't aim down sights unless you're using a certain weapon in the game. And I really don't like how there's a set recoil pattern for every gun that you kind of have to master. I get the huge skill that it involves having to do stuff like that. It's just not something that I'm really into in particular. That's why I really don't play CSGO at all. I have never bought it. I've never really had an interest in it. Valorant, I really don't have an interest in either because of the CSGO inspiration for part of it. Obviously, the other inspiration part would be like a legend-based game, Overwatch, Apex, but I'm good. I really don't want to play either of those. Siege, I come back to on and off when I'm in a mood where I don't want to play anything else, I'll play Siege. Siege is a game that I really enjoyed playing, but only if I can joke around in the game and have fun at the same time. I hate having to try to sweat 24/7 in Siege, otherwise you don't really feel good, and there you get a lot of hate mail in Siege comparably to other games because of how more intense of a game it is, if you will. But I also really like how many guns are in Siege. There's definitely a lot of guns in Siege. Right now, they're kind of recycling a lot of guns right now for the new operators, which is it's really unfortunate. But it is what it is. So Apex has been something that I've kind of been drawn back into since I played it when it first came out and then uninstalled it and never went back. I'm enjoying the game because there are times where I'll go and I'll try to joke around and just do dumb crap in the lobby. Whereas then there's other times where I get super serious. I'll go to ranked. I try to sweat a little bit to get some rank progress. At least I'm in silver right now. The rank system inside of Apex is a little different from what I'm used to, but it's all right. Oh, neat. I haven't really been keeping up with any of the news, to be completely honest, for well, pretty much any of it, honestly. So this is awkward because we kind of need a little bit more room here for this charging handle to sit in here. We can also, it's going to start basically where the cheese slope is and end almost like right before it hits back here. I've seen a lot of the data mining because I have been, now that I'm really into Apex, I've been keeping up with the news and whatnot for Apex. So I've seen what data miners can do. Sorry, man, late launch, like I said. I've definitely seen what the data miners can do. Data miners have been around since I've started really getting into gaming. I started really getting into gaming during Destiny 1, Destiny 2. And data mining was a huge part of that kind of original release, if you will. The problem that I've kind of grown to know is that I get my hopes up when certain things are data mined, and then it's released as a whole package, if you will, and guess what? What you were looking forward to being in that package isn't there. Damn, dude, you've been gaming a long time. I have not been gaming since I was 3. I think I started gaming when I was 5, maybe 6. One moment. I need to just count real quick. 1, 2, a 3, followed by another 2, and then a headlight Brit turned upside down like this. I got really good at Mario Kart Wii when I was 4. I've never really been into the Mario Kart series. It's a fun party game. Don't get me wrong. I get that, but I just... I don't really play a whole bunch of party games now. I don't play a lot with people anymore. Like, there used to be a time where, you know, you would kind of get together with your friends and you would play local co-op on the couch and whatnot like that. Have some huge fun. 007 GoldenEye is later. No. Do not restart right now, computer. We used to play GoldenEye 007 on PlayStation 2, I believe, where we were all in like the same room. I've talked about this before on stream, but we used to literally set trip mines on this one kind of caved-in map and we would just set thousands of them. And then you would like hardcore parkour through the trip mines until eventually someone set one off, and then they would all explode, and then everyone would kind of like laugh and giggle because your body would get thrown around like a rag doll throughout everything. We used to do that quite a bit, but gaming is not like that anymore. My kindergarten school has a fun Friday thing where every Friday, if you had GM, there was Mario Kart. That's a pretty cool thing to have to be available to you, if you will. We're going to have to stretch these proportions just a little bit to get what we want out of this, but it is what it is. It's funny because I used to work inside of a child care facility for 3 years. And something that we used to do is we would have like a free time, if you will. And during the free time, at one point it was just a regular Wii with Smash Bros on it, and then eventually we did upgrade to a Wii U that had the Wii U's version of Smash on it. I'm not too keen on all the real big differences. It's all pretty much the same game, just with updated characters as you go, honestly. And the huge thing then was beating a counselor. If you beat a counselor in the game, you were pretty much a god amongst everyone's eyes because you beat a counselor. Like, damn, you must be really good if you beat a counselor. And like you said, there would be people who would spend ages trying to beat you at Smash as much as they could. Sometimes you would get like super unlucky and they would just get this bad hit in the game and destroy it, and then other times you would destroy the kids and the kids would like try to label you as a cheat or something like that, which has never really bothered me, considering the main that I always used inside of Smash has never been a good character as far as I'm concerned. So since it's not, when they all lose to me, it's kind of embarrassing. And it's clearly I'm not a cheater if the character is bad. Because, of course, you have to remember that since they're kids, thank you for the live music, I guess. If you like hit them multiple times over and over again, you're spamming over and over again, and it's really annoying. Like you could use different moves, but even using different moves, there's probably going to be one kid who just keeps saying you're spamming over and over again, and yeah, I remember those times. Those were more innocent days, that's for sure, where you didn't have to worry about coronavirus, because this was 4 years ago is when I started. I've been 1 year working where I am now, and then before that 1 year, I was 3 years as a child care worker. So if I started 2019, 3 years, so 2016 through some of 2019, I was a child care counselor, and like I said, there was just simpler times back then. You didn't have to worry about a virus out to basically kill everyone, thankfully. Kind of sad how things have changed. I played till I shoved a penny in my Wii disc slot because I was dumb. It happens. I can't say that I've ever tried that before, unfortunately, but it does happen, is all I can say. This gap it's just got to be here. There's no way I'm going to be able to close this gap with not being able to have something sticking out somewhere, and it's going to really mess up everything. So that gap's just going to have to be there, unfortunately. This lower receiver here can come down just a little bit. We can set this up here. Something kind of like that I'd be fine with. And we can leave the studs somewhat exposed. to give us somewhere to do something with the fire selector, possibly. Oh crap, I've got this screw detail like right here that I need to add somehow. Alright, ready, set, go. We need to use one of these here. Something kind of like this, I'm guessing. Should be okay. It's going to stick out a little bit. It's not going to be like a very clean line, but I really don't have the room for it, in all honesty. I wrecked my disc reader and I've never played Mario Kart Wii since. I'm sure you could find a Wii for really cheap nowadays, honestly. If my church could afford it, the aftercare program that I was with, you guys could definitely probably afford one. Our church was super cheap about a lot of things. Like, it took ages to convince them that they needed to buy extra controllers for the Wii and the Wii U. When they finally did, though, it definitely made Smash a lot more interesting because we used to get like 3, 4 people. I'm sorry. We used to get like 8 people in a lobby, and then that's a lot of freaking Smash going on. But again, age limits, man, stupid age limits. Why do we need child labor laws in the United States? Why can't we just abolish them? Put all the kids to work. Ugh. Damn you, Industrial Revolution. Why did you have to ruin it for the rest of us? My dry sarcasm is there. Please don't fucking try to cancel me because of my sarcasm. This should probably go up like just a little bit. I think you could try to intern for someone. You might not get paid for it, but you'd at least be like guaranteed a job when you get done interning with them. If you wanted to try that. I don't know if you've ever looked into something like that. Recently found my Wii actually, and it's pretty beat up, but I bet I could plug it in. I actually have the Wii. I just remembered it's sitting in one of my Lego boxes behind this wall behind me. And I believe, I know where the controllers and stuff are for it. I've thought about taking and plugging in to give my girlfriend's sisters something to do when they're actually over here. So we could actually like play the games and whatnot that I've bought up for it like ages ago. We don't have a TV out in the living room, and I really don't want them in my room, so it's kind of hard. My church has a summer camp that they need workers for, so I'm going to do that when I'm 14. This is not me trying to discourage you. I'm just going to ask questions. Have you ever tried to work with kids before? Have you been around children for long, extended periods of time? Like I said, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just going to ask the question, and depending on your answer, I'm going to give you either really good sage advice, or I'm going to not give you any advice because you already got it all figured out. I don't really know yet. We'll see, depending on your response. No, it's not a counselor job. It's kitchen staff. Oh, you lucky bastard. Oh, man. If I could have taken a kitchen job at a different summer camp that my old boss used to run as his primary job, then I would have definitely done it. Oh man, you want to talk about like dodging a huge bullet right there? That would be it right there. You could be a CIT, a counselor in training, at least here in Florida. That's like one of the larger things to do if you're young, because it's almost a guaranteed job when you come of age, as long as you like show that you're willing to do what you need to do, kind of. My sister was a counselor in training for 2 years, I think, before she finally became of age and was able to actually be a counselor. Yeah, I know. And then, actually, I still work at the summer camp on Fridays to do maintenance jobs, odd jobs here and there. There's a couple counselor in trainings there right now, actually, who are working really hard to try to be like good counselors, if you will. And it's kind of easy for them at this point if they wanted to become of age and get a job. All right. So we have this section made. We're going to skip over the rail system for now, just like we're skipping over the bipod for now. I'm really not looking forward to making a bipod. The bipod just looks like what is this? What is this? Jesus. Now we kind of make this big, giant piece of steel in the back, honestly, that comes back to here, which is, I believe, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it comes back to almost the 6th one back here, which I believe is this. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. This one here. Did we keep that a 3? Make it a 4. I want to make this a 4. Let's make it a 4 just so it expands out a little bit, because I do want some depth to it. It looks really, really flat right now. This line here that we have set up is just going to continue straight back. So this line here just continues straight back. So that's kind of a good thing. That'll make life easier. Do we work in blue? No, yet. Perfect. So let's just set this up to expand outward as such. And then extend this line all the way back to where we need it to go. Cooking is something that I would have really liked to do professionally. Professional is used in the word of just someone who's paid to do something as a professional. Not necessarily a way to identify skill, if you will. I'm definitely not able to keep up with like the likes of Gordon Ramsay, for example, but I think I could cook some bomb meals for kids, because I think me and kids would get along real well with the way that I would cook certain things. I'm pretty sure like if I made sweet tea for the kids and it had 3 gallons of sugar in it, they would all be like, "Oh yes, give me more. I would love seconds of this ultimate sugary beverage that you have." Like that right there, I'm pretty sure I could do. It might get me fired in the long run, but I could definitely do it. Grandpa is in Florida right now. He has chosen like the worst of times to come down here, considering Florida is like just a shithole of coronavirus right now. I think we're #1 in the nation right now for Florida virus coronavirus cases. Might as well call it Florida virus at this point. Honestly, I have no objections to calling it that. Wow, is this really that big? That's kind of like a really small shell ejection port almost. But I have a really cool way of doing it, so that'll kind of work out for us. A polar wiggle. We are working on the WA2000. It's interesting to not know someone like that then. I guess is what I can contribute to this conversation. Would definitely be better to know someone though. This needs to start way higher up. Okay. What type of arch pieces do we have? My idea originally was to use this piece here, but that would be a 4-stud wide shell ejection port, and that's a huge, huge shell ejection port. It's more like a 3-stud wide shell ejection port, but I don't think that we have. So we would have to do something like this. All right. Let us set ourselves up here for victory. So it would start somewhere right about there. Oops. We could come up like one plate. Like there-ish. This is technically supposed to be like overlapping with this down here. So we can get rid of this ruler right here because that's annoying. But it's not. So this is going to give us the illusion that this is too high, or too low, but it's really not. My dad's parents, I think, died before I was born, and my mom's parents are the boomer Karen couple complaining about no alcohol in Walmart. Oh. I'm going to be honest with you, Kukri. Maybe it's not a bad thing that you don't know them. We'll let you get a little bit more exposed to the world before you kind of try to go get to know people like that, my man. How long is this? Where do we have this set up on, first off? We have it set up on this one here. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have it set up on this one. It's supposed to be further forward. It's supposed to be like almost touching the peak. Hey, Mr. Phoenix. Oops. We need to move this forward to like here. Have you tried to add LED files for your creations in the descriptions of your videos or even making a building guide? No, I'm not going to ever do that. It's in the description of every single one of my videos. I don't release instructions. I don't release LED files. I'm not going to sit here and have people to steal my shit and say that it's theirs day in, day out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 studs long. So if we throw a 12 down on it, at the end of this 12 is where this shell ejection port should end. I've already seen it happen before. I've seen people take Jim's files in particular, and try to pass it off as their own. I've seen that firsthand, by the way. These are not like just me browsing YouTube, Lego guns, and stuff like that, and being like, oh, wait, isn't that so-and-so's? This is like me actively being in a Discord server where people are trying to pass these types of things off as their own. I've seen Jim's files actively stolen. I've actually had renders of mine, like me just showing a picture of them, have been stolen by people before and tried to pass off as their own, which was quite annoying. I believe there's a couple Kyle models. In particular, his Glock file. Like there was a couple people who had made it and not given credit to him, and they had to purchase those models instructions, and they still didn't give credit, even though they had to purchase it. And then Christopher Hopman. There's been a couple builds floating around that people have made of some of his guns that have not received proper credit. So I'm not too keen on releasing instructions, files. I'm not really interested in any of that, honestly. It's just this community is not in the same type of place that I am, for example. I do use a lot of other creators' files. I have made plenty of my different username models using his LTD files. There's quite a few on my channel, actually, but every single time I've ever used his files, you guys can check, I've put his name in the title so that I can give credit to him entirely, because it's not me who made it. It was my different username who made it. So I can't be trying to take credit for things that I haven't made. Jim's Lego guns, same thing. I've used a couple of his guns in some of my files. I've put his name in the title to give him credit. But not everyone is like that. Oh, good. I'm glad that you cleansed your mom's house. Maybe that will assist with all the issues that have been going on as of late. Hopefully. Not everyone is like that in the community, which it sucks. Truthfully, there was a really good pastoral thing that I listened to not too long ago at an old church that we used to attend. It was a live stream from a congregation meeting that they were having over a topic at the time. I forget which topic it was. It's irrelevant. But the pastor was talking about keys. And he asked everyone in the audience, hey, why don't you... Everyone, I want you to take out your keys and show me how many keys you have and stuff like that. And everyone took them out, and he's like, now then, you know what's really funny is how many of you have keys that lock your house, your car, things like that. But we always preach this idea that we should be trusting of our neighbor and loving of our neighbor and things like that. But we have to lock everything to kind of make sure that our neighbor doesn't come and try to steal from us and stuff like that. The general point of his message was, if we could truly trust our other beings of humanity, this would not be an issue at all in terms of being able to release files. Like, if I could truly trust everyone, I would. But unfortunately, there are some people out there that are going to try to pull one over on you, try to steal your stuff, and things like that, which is, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Cleaned or cleansed? Is there like demons there? Just bad vibes. They've been having some weird nightmares. Yeah, hopefully not anymore. I got demons. I can't say certain things in chat. Yeah, you're not allowed to say certain things in chat. There's a filter for chat. Damn, Kukri, I didn't know you had demons. Your fucking house sucks, Kukri. Like, you've got no AC, no fan, demons on top of that, no job to afford anything else. Wait. Filter's been on for a long, long time now. It's been on since I started streaming, basically. You could potentially reach out to like a local pastor or someone like that to have them come and look into your house and figure out what exactly is going on. It's kind of one of the jobs of the church. It's weird to think that, but it is something that the church is supposed to be helping with. They don't just do like services and stuff like that in the church. They are supposed to do community outreach, and that is kind of a part of their community outreach in a very weird type of way. It's not something that we usually think about and kind of needing, because it's not something that we think happens all the time, honestly. We don't ever really think about demons until it starts happening to us, or we see a scary movie or something like that. Your parents might be possessed. That's a joke, but a distasteful one, if you will. It was kind of a bad joke, honestly. Sorry. I might consider. Did I? What the heck? Oh no, I minimized it. That's what I did. My bad. I can close out of this, I can close out of that, and we can come back here. Did I get an image of the other side? I did not. It sucks. Oh, spoopy noises and shuffling? That's not, like, over the top too bad, I'll be honest with you. That's not bad. I'm not trying to say that, like, it's to... I'm not trying to say that your concerns aren't valid, but it's, there are, like, way worse things that could be happening, I guess is the better way to say it. Like, you could straight up be, like, being dragged out of bed and stuff like that, which would be, like, way worse. It's rumored people died at my house since this house is, like, 12 years old. It's not too bad. People dying in your house doesn't automatically make it a haunting. It just makes it, like, really scary to be walking around on your own. The house that me and Kenyana actually moved out of not too long ago, last October actually, it's been confirmed that people did end up dying in that home. My grandparents actually bought it for really cheap because the person who had previously owned it actually committed suicide in my dad's bedroom, actually. So my grandparents were able to get it for cheap. I believe there was also one more person who ended up committing suicide in the house as well. I'm not entirely sure the story behind that one. I believe the first guy, the reason he ended up doing it is because he owed money either on the home or something else and was not able to pay it back. So to him, suicide was the only option. It's real sad, but it does happen. So this is going along quite well. How do I get extra Lego models in LED? What do you mean? Extra Lego models in LED? Are you talking about extra Lego pieces? Like the ones that I'm using? Because you're not able to at this point in time. They're, like I said, Lego has stopped supported LED. For some reason, oh, you weren't here when we talked about this. I just talked about this with Kukri. Lego no longer supports Lego Digital Designer. They're no longer they've never really funded it in particular, but they did back it. They did give it official approval when it was still around as an official product. And because they no longer back it and they're no longer officially supporting it, there's no more updates for Lego Digital Designer. So currently on their download on the official Lego website, that download for LDD is an outdated download, which basically means that that download is not compatible with the internet, which means every time you launch it, you're going to be in what's called offline mode, because you do, despite popular belief, you do actually use the internet while on LDD. And since it needs an internet connection, if you don't have that internet connection, it runs itself in what they call offline mode. And your offline mode is going to remove the usual amount of bricks that you see in the brick palette. It does this in particular because there are some bricks that are only supported via the proper connection. So there's no way to fix it, unfortunately. You can contact Lego Digital Designer hotline, their helpline. There should be a phone number that you can call for assistance, or a chat that you can also get assistance. I can tell you right now, you'll be on the line holding for some time if they're real busy at this point in time, which is, it's never a guarantee that they're not. And their response, no matter what your problem is going to be, have you tried uninstalling and reinstalling? Which is a very shitty response. It's very unfortunate, but it's what they've always responded with, because this has been something that people have been dealing with for ages. I downloaded LDD onto my other laptop, my girlfriend's laptop, the other day, just to kind of see maybe if something had happened. And still, no, you cannot. Even on that one, which used to have a perfectly functioning LDD on, even that one is still having issues. You have to run it in offline mode, and when it's in offline mode, you don't have all the proper parts in LDD. Yeah, it's all officially yours, I guess. So my best response to you is what I told Kukri as well. Make the switch now from Lego Digital Designer to Studio, because Lego Digital Designer's time is coming to an end. I'm on a Mac. I haven't had any issues with the Mac download. That said, I'm not going to try to uninstall or reinstall LTD on this computer, because knowing my luck, it's not going to work if I do that. I got mine working because I'm on a Mac. There's got to be some difference in between Mac or Windows download. I'm not entirely sure. Look, listen, download Studio. Your only option at this point is to download Studio. I'm telling you, that's all you've got. Unless you want to use one of the other building platforms, because there's like 2 or 3 other building platforms, but I can tell you all right now, the best 2 that you have is Lego Digital Designer and Studio. And Studio is your best option at this point in time, because it's pretty much the steroided version of LDD. It's also like a way better platform to be using. Fried rice does sound very good if I was actually hungry. I'm very not hungry right now, unfortunately, considering how late I ate that lunch. Kind of wish I was hungry, because I would love to eat some fried rice. And we do have fried rice sitting in there that I could make. And I could technically pan fry it as well, which would be cool. We're going to move this down out of the way for now so that we can take a look at this and get everything ready for it. I guess starting in the back. How often do I use Studio? Pretty regularly. It's not difficult to use, like, at all, honestly. It's relatively simple for what it is. I would go to say I use Studio once a day, potentially. Or at least once a building session, I should say. I have to use Studio because I render in it, so that's a given. But Studio also has the part designer, which I've really been into now because you can make custom minifigs with it. So I've been making like custom jetpacks, armor, and stuff like that for clones, which has been really helpful. It looks really cool whenever you're able to accomplish something like that. The other thing I've been doing with it is sometimes there's a design in my head that I've got that doesn't necessarily work in LDD, but I think would work in real life. Like if there's one piece that just so happens to clip into it on LDD, that's really annoying. Actually, a good indication of this would be the Hush Puppy that I just most recently built, which should be here. There is a piece that I used here. This bracket piece here is the 1x version of this bracket piece. That's something that you can't get inside of LDD, even on the updated version. You only have the 2 wide versions. That's something that I had to do inside of Studio. So I do use Studio on a pretty regular basis, honestly, because I'm too lazy to set it up. Yeah, you can, it's technically a different program, but it's the same thing. It's this right here called Part Designer. Here's Studio, here's Part Designer. You can download them from the same place that you would download Studio. It's pretty awesome. Here's a very quick demo, if you will, about what you can do with it, because it's insane what you can do with it. It's ridiculous. Like if you want to talk about building the most perfect guns possible, this is the easiest way to do it. Because you could make your own slopes in the design and stuff like that. So like I just want to create a new one from scratch. I need a 1x5. Guess what? There's a 1x5 part. You can export that to Studio if you wanted to. I need a 1x5 flat. Oh crap. Well, I just need to drag this all the way there. That's a 1x5 flat, and you can export both of these as separate parts to Studio if you wanted to. I want to add a hole, that type of hole, this type of hole. There we go. Guess what? There is a Technic hole there now, but I can make it. Oops, not down there in the bottom. But I can make it in just the sides, for example. You can do pretty much literally anything with the part designer. If you get good enough with the part designer, you can do some pretty crazy stuff with it. Can you get the physical custom part cast? No. You can export the file that you have there in a couple different file types. If you did a couple researches here and there on Google, which I'm not going to do because I'm not interested in this, you could probably find a type of program that converts the data into a 3D type of program that you could probably get 3D printed, in all honesty. You could potentially do that. At that point, though, we're talking about illegal Legos. They're not Lego branded. There's a huge stigma against that in the Lego community because it's not official Legos, and a lot of people kind of want the official Lego brand on their Legos when they do stuff like that. It's not something that they want to like really want to see illegal stuff out of. I wish Lego would go out of their way to make odd lengths longer than 5. There's a couple parts that are 5 long. There's a lot of parts that are 3 long now, which is really good. But I would love to see 7, 9, and 11 long in bricks, plates, and tiles. That'd be really helpful. And other stuff like that. Thank you. See you later, Kukri. One piece Lego gun? Yeah. If you really tried to, you could inside of the part designer, because you can import parts from Studio into the part designer. So you could technically build it all in Studio Part Designer. At the end of it, export it to Studio. As you can select all the pieces that you want to export to Studio in like groups almost. You could export it to Studio as one entire group and literally just have a one part gun, which, okay, so if we're thinking about this, if there is a program out there that converts a Studio file, an LDRAW file, I don't think you can export Studio files as LXF. I know you can do it as a .io file, which is a Studio file. I know you can do it as an LDRAW file. If there's a program out there that can read either of those and convert it into 3D data for a 3D printer, you could technically make a 1-to-1 scale weapon and then have it 3D printed as one whole piece. We might be on to something. Big brain. I'm still not going to look into that because I'm not interested in it, but that is like a possible way of getting things that I don't have. How do you feel that yesterday in Mass I just played Raid Shadow Legends the entire time? You're cancer, dude. Get out of here, man. Oh god, Raid Shadow Legends, what a dying game. Ugh. I hate games like that in general, but Raid Shadow Legends is just really obnoxious. Every time an ad for them pops up, basically like when I'm driving, usually watching YouTube videos, I cringe the entire time. I just hate everything about them. They're just so obnoxious, like all the time. Ugh. Ugh. I hate Raid Shadow Legends. This should come to here. So here-ish. Right there. Which gives me almost plenty of room for the trigger guard. We might bring that back one just in case. Just want to be sure. Let's I have to grab a different color because I think we've already used pink, if I'm not mistaken. Move this forward like this. And that will set the front kind of portion of the grip here. We can extend that all the way back. We'll carry that line. That's honestly not too big of a deal. Wow, that's also a perfect fit. That's really nice. Love it when things work out like that. Dude, these curves. This gigantic curve right here. There's like only one. Oh! If I'm going to use the curved bricks that I'm thinking about using, we have to flip all of this right side up, which is kind of annoying. These bricks are like that. Okay. All right, so this is technically going to be somewhat thicker than what I originally planned, because it's going to have to do this. We can potentially leave that. We need to actually carry this out. All the way. And that will set most of these studs right side up, like they're supposed to be. Which should help us in the long run with these curves that we're going to use here. To fix everything. All right, so this curve here, it is primarily what we were looking at, because the only piece that I can think about using for that would be these right here. What's the difference between these? Is it this, like I thought? Okay, obviously this one has more of those. I don't want that one. This is the top. These two seem relatively the same though. So this curve here, where it's gonna end, is like here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fourth. Crap, I mean to place it way over there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is where it ends, if you will. So see you later, Polar Rule. Kind of like that. Ah, it's way too deep of a curve. It needs to be shallower. This end is like a really, really good, but this end isn't. What can we do? Oh man. Okay. Let's start in the back and work our way forward. Actually, no, let's start with the pistol grip, because that's going to set our thickness for this going on back here, if you will. We're going to leave this upside down. I think that's the move that we go with here. Put a 3 there to start that, and then come out of it kind of like this. Needs to be a little bit more elongated. A little bit more elongated. Something like that. And then follow it with 45s going downward. Kind of to there-ish. Take a 3. I want to match, I basically want to match that entire slope, honestly. Which isn't, it's not too hard. We just do this. And whatever doesn't fit, we can fill in. Does it go? So it technically, if we can move it like 1 stud forward-ish, that would be better. Because it does go to here, about where the shell ejection port is at. So I'd be fine with that. We might take and extend this out that way by 1, since we pushed everything back this way. Okay, all of this here. Let's see if we can grab and paste it to this side, just like that. Okay. So then we'll fill in. We're definitely going to extend this out by one more. We have to. Just me looking at that, I could tell it needs to be a little bit longer up here in the front. That's, again, no big deal. We can definitely accomplish that. Where exactly? I think it will work out for us. This bottom one here, we'll see what I do here. I'm not too sure. I'd actually really like to use this piece, but we'd have to flip everything back upside down over here, which we can do. How to flip stuff over in a limited confined space like this. Leave that as a 4. Leave these as a 1. Replace these with a 4. Put this here. Put this here. Put a Technicub here. Bam. Okay. And then a 3x3 right side up here. And we can fill this in now right here. And that will meet up perfectly, as it should. Some brain power needed for that, but it works. Bam. Just like so. It's been a while since we've saved. We're going to go ahead and save before something bad happens. All right, so that should start here. Okay, come on. It's kind of thin. I don't want it that thin. So we're going to move this slightly down, which will in turn make this a slightly bigger grip right there. I think that's perfect, honestly. Yeah, it starts slightly below this front handguard here. So this is good. That sets up this little piece here. It bows out and then comes back in there. So can we set this up here? All of this here. Place 2 of these here and another one here, like that, and place a 3 here. Now we're going to use side building, but we're going to be using the newer piece because it's all even flat side building. It's going to make things way easier on my end. Possibly like 6 or so down. It actually might be more like 8, honestly, because this is quite a thick portion here. Let's take it down another 2 and see where that gives us as we produce this. All right, so we need to get the slight bell and then out. So for the first set of slopes, we'll be using the 3 version, which will give us part of it. And then for the second set, we'll be using the 4 version, which will give us the other part. It will give us this nice long look to it. Like that. So then we get the out and then the curve back in. So you get the out and then the curve back in. This honestly needs to be one more stud down. That works out. That's not a bad thing. We definitely can do that. So we need to fill some of this in. We're just going to fill this up. I'm not too worried about how structurally these bricks are like overlapped with one another. That's never been really a big concern when you're digitally building. This could always be modified in the future to come back to if you ever wanted to be super picky about it and make it in real life. So that sticks out back there, and then it's just a nice flat bottom the whole way until we start this wonderful slope back here that I don't anticipate knowing how to do. Okay. I got to think about this because this section back here needs to be 4 studs wide for at minimum a 2 stud wide magazine. We could hide a 4 to 3 stud transition in this little bit of thickening right there. Is that where we want to hide it? No, because I have this set to be 3 studs as well. We might have to delete this out and make it 4 studs. Yeah, we definitely need to delete this out and make it 4 studs. So it's indexed here. How do I move it over? Well, what you do is you take and you put this here. You put that there. You delete this. You select everything that's connected here. You move it away. You put a 2 here. You delete that. You select all of this. You bring it back. And now it's at 4 studs. We delete that. We delete that. We delete that. And we replace those 2 plates that we did first. So we have room to place this 1x4 slope. We're now going to place the 1x4 slope. And then we're going to use the duplicate tool to duplicate all of these pieces coming down, like so. We're going to get rid of that placeholder. We need to now get rid of that because these studs are not going to line up and they'll cause a collision error, which we don't want. We do, however, want this to stay a 3, so we will place that back in there. And then we have a 4 stud here and a 3 stud here, like so. All right, so that's fine and dandy. We need to take the 3 here and make like a curve coming down to here that we can hide a 4 stud wide transition in. So what we'll do is not that because that's way too big. A 2 followed by a 1 and another 1 and a 3. Hey, Sebastian. If we do a 3 here, this should be a perfect right down there. Yes. All right. Duplicate, 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 duplicate. Command C, Command V. Place there, place there. We can now fill in all of this with just basic bricks being thrown on top of it, back and forth. That's not really a big deal. And then we can leave the inside hollow so we don't have to place another brick. Like I said, it's not something that's being designed to be built in real life, unless you really wanted to. And like I said, you can come back through and remake it into a real life model pretty easily, might I add. There's not a whole lot of changes that you would have to do to it. Put a 3 there, put a 3 here. and then followed up with a plate, and that would be that. I don't particularly know your skill level, so I can't answer that question for you, unfortunately. I mean, the best thing that I can tell you is I'm using a pretty advanced measurement method here to get this as like perfect as I can possibly get it. Anyone can use this measurement method. This is a measurement method made by someone on my different usernames Discord. She goes by Cora as her handle, where she sets up a virtual ruler that you can see here. I've got it hidden right now. And then you take a screenshot of that and you overlay it with an image of the gun itself. And you size it the proper length, and then voila, you have this wonderful 2-scale representation of bricks on the screen that you can use to assist you in the building process. So that's what I did. Practice is also something. I've been doing this for a very long time, might I say. Like a very long time. I've probably been doing this longer than what normal people should be doing it. Thank you, Sebastian. I appreciate it. This is definitely one of those hobbies where people look at you and they're like, "You do what for a living?" I shouldn't say living. I have an actual job. I do contribute as a regular member of society, but like people in their free time would be like, "You do what?" So yes, this is just kind of one of those things that you kind of have to get a lot of practice at. These have set us back and are sloping, unfortunately. I'd rather get these all set up correctly, so I'm going to go ahead and just carry this down. Ish. Keep forgetting we're in 4 now. Okay, that should go there, and then we can do this. Like so. Alright, so then all of this is the room that we have to figure out what we're going to do here for that slope in particular. I have a lot of trouble with my grips. Do you have any tips? Understanding what bricks do what. Understanding that bricks make different angles if they're turned sideways. And sometimes, this is a very important one. Sometimes, in all honesty, a very simple grip is a pretty effective grip, and you don't need to go like full on Picasso on grips. It's just being able to understand what certain bricks do, honestly. So you can see I have traditional building here. Hold on, up at the top. I have right side up building here. I have upside down building all the rest of this. And then I have sideways building here, so it's not on top. Snot building is very helpful in making this type of stuff. It's also very helpful to be able to understand that sometimes it's not going to work out the way that you may have intended it to. Sometimes it's going to look bad on your first go around. It's not a bad thing, I promise you. Sometimes you just need another chance to go back and look at it. It's always okay to mess up. There is no reason to fear. Wait, what are we doing? These need to go forward. There's no reason to fear messing up because you can just always learn where you messed up and why you messed up and then grow from it. Is a very easy thing to accept. There's a couple videos on my channel of failed models, if you will, of things that I've never gone back and tried to complete because they just did not turn out the way that I thought they were going to turn out. Op Dragon War, I went back and I did finish that one eventually. I did that to try to save my monetization on my channel. Thank you, my different username, and all your supporters for really helping me with that in that attempt. But like the AK-47 Vulcan from CSGO, I tried to make the Vulcan skin. I failed. I never went back to try to finish that and recreate it. It's just sitting in my Google Drive, actually. So I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. There's a couple helicopter models that I tried to make based off of real things that I failed miserably on. There's a few other like weird tank designs that I tried to make that I failed miserably on. It's okay to fail, honestly. Being able to like understand your failure and where you're growing from out of all of that is kind of a real big helpful thing that I can tell you. If you can learn, yes, this is what I did wrong. I should have used this piece instead of that piece. This piece is a lot more applicable to the situation than this one was. You'll be pretty all right. So as it pertains to grips, being able to understand that there are these pieces are very helpful. Being able to understand that there are these other larger bracket pieces, these bricks with studs on the sides to make you be able to turn and twist bricks to your liking wherever you want them to go is also pretty dang important. You need to be able to do that. If you're not able to turn them to wherever you want to turn them, then you're kind of limited almost in the sense of what you're able to do. And since limiting yourself is not exactly a good thing at times, you need to be more comfortable with what you're doing before you start to really limit yourself. Limiting yourself is something that you want to do as like a fun challenge when everything is said and done, where you've truly kind of like figured out how the Lego system as a whole works. Something really important about Lego itself is that it is a system. You need to understand that bricks have a way of working with each other in very ingenious ways. It's confusing how sometimes a ratio matches up, but you need to understand that it's a system, so it's all intentional. So, prime example, you have a four wide space here. There are brackets that make a 4 wide space. You actually have these brackets here, so you can put one of these here, and then putting 2 plates on it will make a perfect 4 stud wide connection if you mirror this on this side. Something else that's interesting is that if you use this version here, it's going to stick inwards just slightly, like so. So that's a way that you can get some side detailing going on with your model itself. Really cool thing is if you actually use the head-like bricks, they're recessed, which means you can get 3 plates stacked up on top of each other in the same amount of space that 2 plates do over here, but you're taking up more internal space. Understanding the system like that, that's not a coincidence that all those pieces are capable of doing that. Understanding the system like that is what can really help elevate exactly what you're trying to do and where you're trying to do it, because it gives you more options in the long run for building, in all honesty. So this curve here is, I'm going to try to get this curve to come here and really come out of it. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get it the whole way that it needs to go. Oh, that curves back in. I don't want it to curve back in. Okay. I really need this to go like right here. But I'd have to give up a stud somewhere. We'll see exactly what we can do here if we push this down by 1. Would you like form over function or the other way around? It depends on how good of a builder you are, because this is a really weird topic to have. There are people in the community who can make really ridiculous functions that work really well. For instance, there's a guy that I'm friends with. I guess it's Nikodem. The best way to describe him and I's relationship. His name is Trey. He goes by Zen on YouTube. He makes really difficult mechanisms to try to accomplish out of Lego. And he does it in real life. He does not use LDD or anything like that, that's already impressive because I can't even fathom trying to do it in real life. And some of the mechanisms that he makes are really crazy for what they are. So something that he recently made was a shell ejecting pump action shotgun that you can load the magazine tube with a whole bunch of shotgun rounds. Something like that is really insane. But he also had this very gorgeous looking form to the overall design itself, which is, it's beautiful in all honesty to be able to see something like that come together. However, there is other creators in the community who aren't able to accomplish that, and you get this very awkward at times look out of it, where they've really tried their hardest to get a good form with the type of function that they're going with, but they ended up not being able to pull it off, if you will. Like a good example of this, a lot of the brick shooters, for example, they take up a lot of internal space for the brick shooting mechanism. There's nothing wrong with having a brick shooter. It's not my particular cup of tea because there's not enough detail in it. But at that point, you're sacrificing your form for your function. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's just not my particular cup of tea. I would rather have form over function, but I do like to see when people are able to take and combine both of those into like these just beautiful masterpieces of things. There's been actually a couple people who have been capable of doing that in my lifetime here on YouTube. I've talked to quite a few of them, honestly. Trey is one of them. He's actually pretty active in the community still, just not in the regular sense on YouTube and whatnot. Dean, he was Alan's Custom Lego way back in the old days. That was a while ago. That was also really loud, so I apologize. What the fudge is this? Okay. All right. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, Alan's Custom Lego. He's one of the like very first people to really go super in depth about. This is 11 stud magazine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10ish, 10ish. I would say. It starts here. 1, 2. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so to the end there, and then it kind of comes back out of this curve. He's one of the very first people who really tried to push for a very excellent looking weapon that included field strip and included some more extra functionality to it that other people were trying to attempt at the time, but not necessarily succeeding on. Primary example of this, going for a working hammer system inside of a weapon. It's something that people were experimenting with at the time, but it's not something that people really like standardized on, for example. But so Dean would be another one of those people who could do both and really accomplish it. Christopher Hopman was able to do both and honestly did very good at it, being able to get a very beautiful form factor going with his guns, especially in some of his most recent weapons when he was able to order bricks and get them all color coordinated. It just, the red and black looks so good, and he does it in a very tasteful way. His scar with that kind of hot rod skin that he gave it looks really good. It's a beautiful looking model. And again, this is someone that we're talking about has functions inside of his weapons that are not standardized in the entire community. Having that working hammer, that working bolt catch that automatically gets attracted by the what's it called? The magazine. Like whenever it's empty, it automatically locks, so you don't have to actually engage it yourself. That's not something that I would personally do on a lot of my weapons, as I kind of like to be able to not be able to engage the bolt catch. But it is a very cool design to see that it can be done, and it inspires you to kind of always push and be better than what you currently are. That you could do better, for example, and really push the bounds of what Lego can and cannot do. And NickBrick is always been able to do very excellent form. His functionality in some of his older models was kind of, hey, nobody in particular. His functionality was, I don't want to say it was non-existent, because it wasn't non-existent. It was just kind of minimal. He went with like a moving trigger, a working bolt if there was one, stuff like that. It's not that his functionality wasn't there, it was just minimal, I guess is a good way to say it. Now, recently, he's really been going for like a working mag release, working trigger, working bolt, stuff like that, which is, it's good to see that it's been pushed to the limits, if you will. Dang, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this kind of out of the way, honestly. It's something that I've really wanted to do for a while now, but haven't, just because it's kind of a pain in the ass, in all honesty, as you can probably tell, because this area here, I've run out of room. This curve that I have going on right here is probably too long in an area somewhere, so I don't have enough room to make this do what it needs to do. I don't know where I should adjust. Maybe I move this forward by like 2. Let's move this forward by like 2, like so. And then we just delete these out because they're now in our way. That's as far forward as we could go with that, I think. Building in real life is a lot more difficult than doing it on the computer. I'm going to tell you that right now. There are just things on the computer that I'm capable of doing that you're just not capable of doing in real life. First things first is building as quickly as I'm building. You just can't do that in real life. I don't care who you are. Obvious issues being that you have to sit here and dig for pieces on end, usually in your Lego box, unless you have like a really good sorting system set up. But as long as it's sorted like I have it sorted, then it's kind of easy for me to be able to just blow through everything and get it all done and out of the way. Moving this forward by a couple studs was a really good idea. It really gave me the room I needed to finish this off. What would be a good design process? There is a channel on YouTube. This is kind of weird to be talking about because it's not something that I usually talk about on stream. He goes by Big Planes. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He does Lego plane models of civilian military aircraft made out of Legos. He's very good at what he does. And he's definitely gotten a lot better over the years, which is fantastic. So if you're building in real life, his design process for airplanes is probably your best bet for creating in real life. So he goes on Google. It's kind of easier for planes because of how plane schematics are. You can just look at blueprints, like pretty damn easy. But he looks up the blueprints to the plane that he plans on building. He then scales those blueprints inside of a image editing software to the appropriate scale that he's working in, which is minifig scale. And then he proceeds to print them out on regular computer pages. And then he takes those pages and tapes them all together into this very large image of whatever he's trying to recreate so that he has this exact blueprint to work from, which will give him the best bet of getting it as accurate as humanly possible with Lego, because he's physically looking at the actual curve to scale of what he's trying to make. Welcome back, Kukri. So that being your first step in the design process is going to be like this huge benefit, because you're able to kind of set yourself up for how things are going to be. If you're incapable of scaling images and getting them to print, which is kind of where I'm at, I'm not really good at scaling images inside of editing software and stuff like that. You can go to a website called stud.surreal. We can actually take a look at it. I did use it for this WA2000 build. I use it on all my builds. Studs.surreal.pl. This is a Lego unit converter. So a good example of how to do this is you come here to your information, and the length here is 950 millimeters. I come here, I type in 950 millimeters, and this gives me 118 studs in length. So you can set yourself up with like this general idea of overall length and whatnot to assist you in the design processes itself without having to print anything out. So now you know that this is going to be 119 studs long. The airsoft version is longer than the real life version. I clearly just noticed that because the one that I got the measurements for off of the real life model, they say it's 113 studs long, which is, it's not bad. Wow, that curve looks really good. Like really, really good. Like that's a beautiful curve on that. I do really, really like that. I'm going to save this real quick. Starting with that is going to be really helpful, getting those blueprints printed out. We'll go over the second step here in a second. All right. What do you do if I don't have the pieces I need or want? first option that you have on the table is buying the pieces that you need or want from wholesalers. Bricklink, eBay. Your best bet's going to be Bricklink. Most of what you can find on eBay are like lot sellers, and lot sellers are hit or miss depending on which part of the lot you actually buy from. No, dude, you're good. You're giving me something to talk about. You're keeping the stream relatively interesting for when it gets uploaded to my channel, and I really appreciate that. That's your first main option. Obviously, if you're not of a working age, like a lot of people who are kind of into building with Legos and stuff like that, it would be a difficult option, but it's probably one of the better options for you. If you can't do that, your other option is to use pieces in ways that aren't intended. There's a couple guns on my channel that I built using bare bone minimum pieces to show that it's capable of doing things as long as you think outside the box. In particular, the Glock 26 that I have on my channel is built using one bin of Lego pieces. It uses one set in particular, and that's it. Only the pieces out of that set are what I use to make it. So I could show that even using the most minimal parts, like parts that aren't exactly the best that I need, I can still do something as long as you think outside the box with the pieces that you have. Even if you can't get like the most minimalistic details ever, you can't get every last screw because you don't have Technic pieces with holes or something like that, that's not a big deal. I think just going for the basic form itself is a start. You'll find out that a lot of people on their Lego channels, I know mine for a fact, when I was younger, I didn't have as many pieces as I have now. I've collected so many Legos over the years from so many different sources that it grows with you as you get older, unless you get rid of it when you get older. And it's easier when you get older because you just have more pieces at your disposal. So it would be something that sometimes you might get a basic form, and then 2 years from now, you might have enough pieces to go back and remake the same thing, but now you can add all the screws, you can add the rails, you can add stuff like that in it as you go. So it would be something, my best bet for you would be just try what you can now, and then see where you get, basically. Do you know why the WA2000 is so rare? It's so rare because they only made 600 something of them. Walter is not known for a lot of their other experimental weapons, if you will. You have to remember that Walter is pretty much known for high-end pistol, competition pistols, like stuff that you would see at the Olympics. They're pretty basic line of handguns themselves, like the P.22, G22. They're real basic handgun that they have. They're striker-fired polymer-framed handgun that they have out. They're known for that. They're known for a couple other handguns as well. They only, as far as I know, made one sniper rifle, which is the WA2000. The P99, thank you. The WA2000 never really sold a lot. There wasn't a lot that people needed them for. They're also very, very expensive when they first came out, so not a lot of people wanted them. There was not a lot of demand. They're so expensive primarily because they're so accurate. They're really well made. Walter is known for high quality stuff. If you're making Olympic target shooting pistols, you kind of need to have like pinpoint accuracy, which is what Walter can do. So that means it jacked the price up of the WA2000. When it jacked the price up of the WA2000, not a lot of people wanted to buy them. Not a lot of people saw the use for them. So what they ended up doing is not selling a whole lot of them. When you don't sell a whole lot of them, that means when people finally kind of can't afford it in the general civilian market, whether you be a collector or just someone who wants to shoot this really nice .308 Winchester Magnum sniper rifle, you kind of can't, because guess what? You can't find them anywhere, and a lot of them are kind of in private collections right now, as far as I know. I think a few might be in a museum here and there, but they're not exactly easy to find, and they are very expensive. So it's not not a particularly easier weapon to find. If you would like more information on this, I'm not exactly a huge expert on this. A lot of the information that I get from this comes from Ian from Forgotten Weapons, kind of summarized and dumbed down, and I probably misquoting some of it. If you want more information, I would go check out Ian's video on the WA2000. I believe he has one dedicated to the WA2000. And he has another one where he actually shoots the WA2000, and I think the PSG-1 also makes an appearance in that same video lineup there, as a competition back and forth, because they're kind of basically designed for the same thing. I believe Walther marketed theirs toward police use in precision marksmanship roles. Just like the PSG-1 was. The PSG-1 was a direct response to the Munich Olympics, I think. Whichever one, they were stormed by people who took hostages, and it ended up like really bad for Germany at the time, because they couldn't have a military force, I think was what was going on. There was some treaty somewhere that prevented them from having a military force, so the response to the hostage taking and the terrorism was very bad, and it ended up with a very big national dispute back and forth. So I believe Walther, being a German company, and H&K also being a German company, wanted to obviously market some new precision weapons to their newly formed GSG-9 at the time, and they kind of didn't need any new weapons. It's you need precision rifles, but you can get precision at a cheaper cost comparatively to the PSG-1 or the WA2000, and thusly it kind of made things difficult for Walther and H&K to sell the PSG-1 or the WA2000. Another reason it's kind of so rare. I would definitely check out the Ian McCollum video on it, though, because like I said, I probably butchered miserably exactly what happened, where, and how. This wonderful trigger guard here, oh boy, kind of not looking forward to, but it should be fun. This safety is definitely going to be fun, let me tell you. So what I'm thinking about doing is some magic. So what if I can't put this piece here, I think. Let's hide this out of the way real quick. Oh, so I could technically put this here, like that. Okay, perfect. Let's get you out of my way again. So then, let's build up a base here in a different color. Welcome back, Polar Weevil. And we need to try to set up a safety here that can at least like move back and forth by like one stud from the looks of it. So what we'll do is set this up like this. We'll actually switch this from being a 6 and a 1 to an 8, because that will push into the handguard slightly. And we do, in fact, have enough room to do that. This will create this gap here, like so, in which we can exploit using this is slightly difficult to get, but I'm going to try to get you guys through this if I can get this one piece set up where it needs to be. you guys will kind of understand what I'm doing and why. Do I ever build MOCs in real life? Oh yeah. I've built quite a few in real life. That Glock 26 I was talking about before, I've built in real life. The H&K MP7 that I have on my channel, I've built in real life. I actually have two. They're actually out here behind this wall. There's a couple bins that I have that have models sitting in them of real life MOCs that I have built. I only have one gun actually out right now that I can physically access. It's actually right above me. I can't grab it. This is clearly a P90. I mean, it's not too hard to see, I don't think. I need this. Yeah. Okay. Blocking the light like that gets it to readjust. I do have a P90. This is a very basic build. There's not a whole lot of details going back and forth with it. Sorry, trigger. The rubber band is getting a little faded in this, so it is struggling, but it does reset if it had a better rubber band in it. The safety does camber back and forth. The bolt does fine. It's also ambidextrous. And then the magazine itself comes out. I'm not going to do that right now because that's kind of a pain in the ass, but it does come out. So I do build MOCs in real life. It's just not something I do often, as I really despise deleting stuff in real life. I don't like to take apart my guns in real life, so a lot of my bricks are tied up in guns, even like some of my old ones. It's alright, I have a video dedicated to it, Polar Wheel, on the channel. Alright, so this piece here is going to lock that purple piece from moving up and down. And then when violet piece from moving up and down. When we put this here, like so, this is going to prevent the piece from sliding back and forth. Like, okay, so the blue bar is here. It's going to prevent it from doing this in two directions, which is really kind of a cool thing about this. So it's going to make contact with the blue piece here, and it's also making contact with the kind of bright tan piece that you have going on up here. So that's really neat. I do like that system entirely, as it's really, really helpful. We're just going to put a grow piece on this. There's two really small dots here, as you can see, for safe and fire. We're not going to be able to accomplish that in that amount of space. So we're just going to put the grow piece and make it look good, which is perfectly fine. And then we're going to actually beef up the space that we have here. It's one of those things that if you just, for me personally, I try to think maybe a little too fast at times. So if I were to just slow down and realize what I'm capable of doing in the amount of space that I'm doing, I could accomplish way more. Right now, you could just go forward until it hit this piece here, and I don't want it to do that, so I'm going to stop it right here. Kind of close this off a little bit, make it look a little bit more professional. Flat studs for the dots. If there was like a printed piece, yes. Like if I could take one of these and put a dot on the one end and on the other end, yes. But unfortunately, they don't have that type of design. So I'm just going to go with the grills. The US only has 100 FAMASs. That's because freaking the French are just, they're really like bratty, if you will, about giving away their weapons. Unfortunately, I would love to have a lot more FAMAS than just 100 in the United States. I think the FAMAS is a really cool weapon. But unfortunately, the French didn't ever really want to export them. And it's funny because the couple times that they approached militaries for like contracts for production, everyone said no, we don't want that, which really sucks because I really do wish that we had more FAMAS in the country. I would really love to own a FAMAS as just a traditional weapon. It's just a cool thing. I like bullpup weapons a lot. Bullpup weapons are really, really neat. It's funny because the WA2000 is a bullpup weapon, and it's not something I really thought about until now. I like that there's a little bit more mechanics going on with bullpup weapons and stuff like that. I can appreciate that. Also, they're a lot smaller in package, which is neat to see, at least to say. It's not exactly like deal breaking to have a regular rifle, but I do like bullpup rifles since they're smaller and more capable of other things. Being able to retain a 16-inch barrel, but having your magazine, or the overall length be shorter. Sorry, I'm just having issues there. I don't know what the heck was going on in my head. Import bans do suck. I would love to see. I know, like Ian McCollum from Forgotten Weapons is a huge French connoisseur of weaponry. I'm a huge Russian connoisseur. Like, I love a lot of the stuff that the Russians produce, primarily because a lot of the stuff that they make is just crazy stupid at times. Like, just some of the ideas that they come up with, you're just like, but why? Why did you need that? And then they unveil it, and you're just like, all right, Russia, I guess, no problem. Like, for example, PP19 Bizon. I love the Bizon. Like, dang, that's a really cool helical magazine system that you guys have set up there, but why would you ever need that when drums are notoriously bad in a lot of different situations? They're a lot of times unnecessarily heavy. They add more burden to the soldier that's carrying them, you know, stuff like that. But at the same time, you have this huge 50-round drum, which is really cool. Yeah, you definitely smell communism. What else? AEK 971, AK108, AK107 fit right here in the same boat. Counterbalance recoil systems. How many people do you know try to develop a counterbalance recoil system? Not a lot. AN94 Hyperburst system, really cool system. Clearly, it's got a lot of flaws because it's kind of known for notoriously being unreliable, which is okay in my eyes because not a lot of people do a Hyperburst system. There are definitely weapons out there that incorporate the Hyperburst functionality, but it's not something that's like really done for. Yeah, definitely expensive for the AN94, but it's cool. I like those weird weapons that go out of their way to try to do something super crazy. Do you have an AA12? I have two AA12s actually. I designed an AA12 ages ago, I believe 2015, 2016, right around there in the era of my channel. I designed my own AA12, and then not too long ago, I also managed to get my different usernames AA12, so I also have his version of the AA12. So I have two AA12s, actually. Oh man, I wish that worked. Interesting. Didn't the Russians adopt the A-94 temporarily? Low quantities for special forces usage. You need to remember that the A-94 is extremely expensive to produce. It clearly does not reliably function 24/7. Otherwise, they would have adopted it in mass, you know, as a huge boon to their fighting forces. It's kind of like over here in America, how a lot of times the military is like, oh, well, we're looking to adopt a new carbine for the military or a new rifle for the military. Oh, okay, well, what about the SCAR 16 and SCAR 17? Oh, yeah, that's really cool design. We're not going to equip the entire U.S. military with it. We're just going to equip special forces units with it. Same thing, basically. You just sometimes you don't really give it to every single soldier. You just give it to kind of the soldiers that matter. Is an easy way to put it. Like, you just give it to the people who are going to use it the best. And that's going to be your special forces. Alright, well, this trigger is good enough, honestly. It's the way that I've got this set up, we could cut some of this out and add something to fix this, but I'm not going to. I do kind of want to be done with this. I don't ever see them doing it, unfortunately. I think it would be really cool. We don't use combat shotguns all too often, which is interesting. Hey, Luke. Because you definitely hear about like a lot of situations where a combat shotgun would have definitely been helpful, but we don't necessarily try to use them that much, which is it's interesting, used to say. Breaching, definite use for combat shotgun, but other than really that, you can accomplish the same thing with a reliable carbine. Because, I mean, at that point, you're just talking about destroying people at close range, and you can do that with a reliable carbine as long as you have relatively good aim. Yes, this is in fact a WA2000. Slowly but surely starting to look like a WA2000, because for a long time it was not looking like a WA2000. We should get this bolt in place, because we get the bolt in place, it should kind of clear up a lot of how this looks. Sorry. Yes, I'm kind of falling in love with it slowly and surely as we go, because when I first started, I was really unsure. There's a couple places on this model here and there that I'm like, that didn't work out the way I thought I was going to. But right now, overall, it's looking relatively good for what it is, and I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, thank you both. Appreciate it. Come on. This is somewhat ribbed. Have you ever gotten someone with Nunya? No, I haven't. I've never been that type of person, though. Thanks, King Shark. So, fun fact about this WA2000 model. This bolt-in charging handle is not going to connect at all because this charging handle system is going to come back to like here and not go any further. Oh man, so you're definitely not going to be able to cock this at all in real life if you ever make it. It's just going to be like this little bit of a space worth of movement and then stop, and it's not going to move the bolt at all. That's not fun, but at the same time, with the detail that I've got going on here, we could technically do it if we took and we cut this and we moved it outward using half pieces. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. Like I said, I do want to be done with this model today. I don't want to be sitting here all night trying to do it. I do need to render it as well when this is all said and done. And that's going to take some time, unfortunately. Oh, cool. Do you play H3 by chance? That is a game that I really want to look into getting into. But I don't have enough money to support myself with a VR system right now, and I definitely don't have a PC to run a VR system right now, unfortunately. Aha, I see. I would love to do that because I think it would be a lot of fun. I just don't have the ability to afford that type of system right now, unfortunately. Remember, if you ever feel threatened by someone, tell them you're going to make them look like a Pez dispenser. Oh my gosh. Jeez, dude. I don't know what I should make for my next weapon. Do what I do if I don't know what to make for my next weapon, and just browse the internet until something comes to you. Prime example, I didn't know what I was going to make when I got home today. I just kind of felt like making something. And I sat there, browsed the internet for a little bit, came across the WA2000, and I was like, should go make the WA2000. Ended up with the WA2000. Is exactly what we're looking at right now in terms of wanting to make it, finish it, be done with it. So here we are. That's how we got here. Let's just make a very basic rail system real quick. Shouldn't be too hard. We're basically going from here to there. That's kind of a far rail system, but we can do it. So from here to there. Trying to figure out the mech to make a car SMG. Which part of the mech? Like the ability to get the magazine angled? Where the fuck are the iron sights on this thing, though? There are no iron sights on the WA2000 as far as I know. I believe the Walther intended for it to always use an optic. I mean, for how precise this rifle is, if you're using iron sights, you're not doing it justice. You really need to be using an optic of some type. I think it's just a regular RPK. Nobody in particular. I don't think he went for like a very over-the-top model or anything like that. Charging handle and bolt and shell ejection placement. I mean, you could, hate to say it, but you can kind of do what I did and just cheat your ass off and not actually connect the two. And then through the magics of video editing, if you wanted to, you could kind of make it so it works, It happens. Oh, Romanian-based RPK. All right, so you did do something that was a particular model. Not bad. Yeah, I feel you. Oh, it blended in right in front of my eyes. This is why we don't work in pieces that aren't brightly colored, because I can't see. Okay, that one change right there really helped make it look way better for some reason. On this particular image that I'm using, it's got its own rune system right here. Too picky. Every Titanfall gun I have made, if it has a function that works, even if it was a nightmare to make. By the way, GG again on the P2020. Thanks, my man. I need to come back through and start making a whole bunch of other shit from Titanfall, Apex, Titanfall 2. I just... Some of their designs, I'm like, ugh, why does it have to do that? Why? Mastiff, for example, those things that open on the side, I really don't want to do. No, goodbye, nobody in particular. Peacekeeper, I know it's easy to do, but I don't want to do it. The whole break action system, oh my god, I don't want to do that. Plus the lever, I can do the lever too. It's just one of those, oh, I don't want to do that type things. Mozambique, that whole like sliding forward thing, I don't want to do. Flatline, the whole sliding forward thing, I don't know what to do with that, man. There's one gun that I've ever done that for, technically two if you want to count the remake of that one, and that was the Ripper from Call of Duty Ghosts. That whole sliding forward, back and forth system was a huge, oh man, I had a long time working on that. I don't want to particularly do that again. Oh man. It's almost 10 o'clock and we're still not done. And we still have a magazine and the butt pad to put on this, fortunately. Yeah, so this magazine that we're about to throw in here, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. It's going to be like the most BS magazine you guys have ever seen. Like, we're talking real BS times right now. Okay, put that there, and then we're going to put a 2x10. Perfect. That can actually stay gone. MX4 Storm from R6 Siege. I just asked Jim for his and then use his as a base, honestly. His is honestly a really good one. There's just a couple things I would polish up here and there. So that's not exactly like something I would really attempt like from the ground up. Like I said, I would just use Jim's as a base design. Don't. Okay. Yeah. See, Luke gets it. Don't get your hopes up for Lego Digital Designer King Shark. At this point, man, I'm going to tell you what I've told the other two people who have asked me about it in the stream here. You need to be looking at getting Studio instead of Lego Digital Designer. Lego Digital Designer has been glitched for a long time now, and will only run in offline mode, even if you've officially downloaded it off of the Lego website with their most up-to-date patch, supposedly. And when it runs in offline mode, you don't have all the parts that I have access to. I don't know how to fix it. It's been like this for a year, 2 years at this point. It's quite ridiculous. The Lego hotline for help, basically, they tell you to just eat their shorts. It's really not fun. And it's quite annoying. So my best advice for you is that if you're going to save up for a PC, when you do get the PC, download Studio instead of Lego Digital Designer, because it'll be better for you in the long run. Since actual LDD itself doesn't do what it needs to do right now. I'm one of the few people around who can actually use a Lego Digital Designer without any issues, and that's really hard to say because there are quite a few people who have issues. Luke, I know, doesn't have any issues, but Kukri, I didn't have all the parts that he needed access to. Who else was it? Someone else in the stream had issues having all the parts accessible to them. It's just right now LDD is not in a good spot. Don't use LDD. Don't get your hopes up, man. LDD at this point is going to retire sometime soon, and when it does, it'll be Studio from now on. I'm only delaying the inevitable at this point by not moving over to Studio sometime soon. How do you design a good and sturdy stock? It depends on the type of stock you're making. I suggest usually Technic inner structure on the inside. That right there will definitely help you get a good, strong, sturdy stock, as it will help support some of the weight and stuff that's going on when you do stocks like that. Oh, see, you're good, Luke. You're fine, man. Like I said, though, Studio is at some point in time, Studio is going to be your only option for building. And the day that happens, it'll be a pretty hard adjustment for this channel in particular, because I don't use anything other than I want this at more of an angle. I don't use anything other than LDD at this point in time. I've used Studio for a couple things here and there. I do like Studio. I've definitely done a lot of tests inside of Studio. In particular, like most recently, they've added a luminescence function where you can change bricks to illuminate light in different colors, which is really cool. You can do it in different intensities as well. It makes rendering super awesome because you can kind of set up this really bomb-ass glowing inside interior. You can see it in a couple of Plax images that he made of the battleship, the Lucrehulk from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. He has the new glowing pieces. Keep kind of stopping, and I'm just procrastinating, delaying them. Well, technically, the last thing we have to do is design the buttstock, which is going to be relatively easy because it's going to be this. Oops, hold on. It's going to be this just massive thing. It's supposed to be able to adjust up and down, but I'm probably not going to end up doing that. It's just going to be fixed for me, to be completely honest. We're just going to design this very nice 6 stud wide butt pad back here. Oh yeah, it's a very cool ship. Like his ability to sit there and do stuff like that is incredible. That's world class ability right there. Not everyone can do stuff like that, which is what just makes Plaque like a whole new breed of Lego builder. In all honesty, 1 2 3, 1 2 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. Okay. Sorry, I had to figure that out. How far down does this go? Okay, so it goes way down. Like down, down. Like one more down. To like there-ish. You build too fast? What do you mean you build too fast? Like, what are they talking about? Like, actively placing bricks on the screen you build too fast? Or like, you just produce too many models in a given amount of time? It's a very weird thing to say, if that's the case. Like, there's no set building speed. If you're capable of building the model, you're capable of building the model. There's like, shit. There's some dedication that you've got. There's dedication that you've got. Like, I'll start and finish a gun in 4 to 5 hours in one day. I mean, that I don't think that's building too fast. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I did the same shit. We started this gun 3 hours ago. 3 hours and 8 minutes is what I've got in OBS right now. So nah, man, I wouldn't say that you build too fast. I think you're all right. Especially if you've had like a general idea of how you're going to be doing it and you've been thinking about it like all day. Yeah, you're going to be able to blow through it in a relatively easy amount of time because you just had that itch like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's going to work out here and that's going to work out there. It's going to be perfect. You know, stuff like that. Nah, man, I think you're good. Oh, of course. Instead, then we'll do this. I think they're wrong. Some days I get in the mood and I do like 2 builds on one day. There's just these like moments in time where you get amped to do this or you get amped to do that. Or sometimes you'll make something and you'll be like, oh cool, now I want to make some attachments to throw on top of it. The P2020 being a prime example. When I finished the P2020, I wanted to put the digital thread on it because I like to look at the digital thread. But I also wanted to do something else to truly kind of bring in that Apex lore. So I did Bloodhound's Hunter's Knife because guess what? It looks really good, rendered right beside the P2020 with the gold side on it. And it kind of brings something else to the build. So I personally think you're fine, Luke. There's no way you build too fast, dude. Alright, so this is going to be... Yes, I was really happy with it. Knife building in general is kind of... I don't want to say it's difficult for me to do, but it's not something that I do like super often. So since it's not something that I do super often, I really kind of want to try to make it look as best as possible. So that kind of just worked out in my favor in all honesty. It's also a relatively simple design. Welcome back, Cuckoo. Like compared to other knives that I've done, it's pretty simple. Something that I did think about doing recently was the Darksaber from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I know it's somewhere in Rebels, and it was in a movie recently that I forget. I like the very end of one of the end credit scenes. But I really want to do the Darksaber because I think it would be a super fun design to do, at least to say. But it's kind of one of those things where like, oh, do I really want to do it? There's those diagonal lines on kind of closer to where the actual blade comes out. Kind of like, do I really think I could accomplish that design? Fun fact, Bloodhound's knife is the same as Blisk's knife from Titanfall 2. Yeah, I have noticed. I saw it primarily in like when the launch trailer of Legends happened, I think is what it was. When he's like at the bar and he's explaining the games in a little bit. And then he slams the knife into the newspaper at the end of that. That's kind of where I noticed what was going on with that. I used that particular scene to kind of give me a little bit of a advantage too in figuring out exactly how the knife looked, because there's multiple angles of the knife in that scene. You got studio, nice. Congrats, Cooper. Have fun experimenting in it, man, because there's like so many different colors that LTD doesn't have in that program that it's like actually insane. Like you just start looking at colors that you didn't know existed. Some of them are studio exclusive, but then there are others where you're just like, wow, I didn't know Lego made this. Wow, I didn't know Lego made that. Wow, that's a pretty cool color there. I wish I had some of that in real life. That'd be cool to experiment with and play around with. You'll find out that there's a lot of stuff like that. It's really cool. All right. Cool, King Shark. That'd be a really nice thing to see. Bam. WA2000. What do you know? This was a gigantic pain in the ass to do. Not going to lie. But it was definitely fun. A lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be relatively simple. But that... Is that missing a piece right there? But this stock did a little bigger number on me than what I thought it was going to originally. But it's done now, which is a good thing. We can also delete this group entirely, which is nice. Being able to get rid of that. And then we can group all the rest of everything else using our newly found function, Command G, which is really nice. I will do, in fact, like that we can do that. And then bam. We are done with everything being grouped together, which is nice. All right, so that right there, we're gonna save. And then we get to do the fun part and figure out what color we make things. So obviously the wood is going to be a brown. The question is, which brown? And then thinking about just doing this. Oops. Like that. And then potentially just making all of this the same color. Oh yeah. I'm gonna make this black actually down here. Just because I think it would look slightly better that way. this is going to be the only like light gray stuff on the entire model. We could technically do the bolt as well, I think, in light gray to make that stand out a little bit. So. And then the shell ejection port as well. Make it stand out a little bit more as well. Is that the brown that we want? And I think the answer is yes, because it looks really good. I really like the way that this looks. We're going to go ahead and select the rail. We're going to make it darkstone gray as well, so it stands out just a little bit. Bam. Well, pow! WA2000. Alright, so it's 10 o'clock, so if I start rendering it now, it'll be done in 2 hours, and we can post it to Discord. Probably comes first, honestly, and the community page of my YouTube channel. How long did this take us, by chance? 3 hours and 18 minutes is what I have on OBS. Not bad for what we did. Cora definitely came in clutch using her wonderful measuring system. We definitely have something that looks like a WA2000. I am not doing a bipod until tomorrow, probably. I completely forgot that we had to do the bipod. I hate bipods because they just look so stupid. Like my M200 intervention, I didn't put the bipod on. Who would blame me if I didn't put the bipod on here? So let's, for now, we'll skip out on the bipod. Tomorrow I'll come back and I'll finish it up with the bipod. But for now, we're done. Thank you guys for coming out and watching stream. I really appreciate it for everyone who stuck around to the very end in these wonderful 3 hours that you got to sit here and watch me do this. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to comment, rate, and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. I'll see you guys later in another YouTube video. Don't forget, if you want to keep up with me and a whole bunch of other different really talented people in the community like Luke and Kukri, don't be afraid to check out my different usernames Discord. It's a really chill place for the most part, and you guys will see a lot of really cool stuff going on in there behind the scenes for a lot of people. So thank you guys for watching. See you guys later.